deny it, no, keep quiet, this kind of love. No, she's so worth it, so perfect. Can I tell you what you remind me of?
Skateboard, baby, 'cause I wanna ride you, I wanna ride you. Something like a grip tape, yeah. 'Cause I can't wait to lay you down, and I plan on riding all night, yeah. Till the sun comes up or the hot lights flash. I'ma play the top, you just play the bottom. As long as you rollin', you know that I'm riding.
I'm about to slam it like a car door, keep you on all four, give you it hardcore, how you deserve it. You already know the ledge, live life over the edge. I fucked with you on the reg. Look at all this blood that I bled. I took the fall, but I got up, brushed myself off, and I kept skating right to where you were located. That ass deserve an ovation. Time with you never wasted, and our conversations are spoken mainly through body language. Concept is complicated. Before I grind, I'ma need some wax. This kind of coping don't crack. I prefer to keep my bands on when I'm climbing in from the back and say I'm keeping her grounded, and she keep me on wood. My bottom bitch, I admit I don't treat you like I should.
On my skateboard, baby, 'cause I wanna ride you, I wanna ride you. Something like a grip tape, yeah. 'Cause I can't wait to lay you down, and I plan on riding all night, yeah. Till the sun comes up or the hot lights flash. I'ma play the top, you just play the bottom. As long as you rollin', you know that I'm riding.
There should be no debate on where you came from. Birthplace, that Golden State. I rode a 8.5, non-ply, no rollerblades on my toes. Before this thing went in vogue, I was still skating on bones. Even had a brigade of my own. Anxious, couldn't wait to leave home. Yeah, to hit a curve and some stairs. The herb in the air, to drop in the vert, I was scared. I had a board I named Medina. After abroad, I was seeing both remind me of each other. And the reason I knew it would end in pieces. And I'd have to find another, treat that rubber like a helmet. That was advice from my brother. Treat my wood like my woman, and my woman like my wood. Oh yeah, she bad, and that's bad.
You remind me, you remind me, boy, baby. 'Cause I wanna ride you, I wanna ride you. Something like a grip tape, yeah. 'Cause I can't wait to lay you down, and I plan on riding all night, yeah. Till the sun comes up or the hot lights flash. I'ma play the top, you just play the bottom. As long as you rollin', you know that I'm riding,
Holded, I'm blindfolded, I rhyme hoping that my opponent's the bona fide unassigned chosen. Thoughts broken from the modern and the model open. Interwoven, I'm in the moment, I need explosives. What you see at night, why you looking for a fight? The stage fright got me praying I don't see the light. If only judge and jury, then I don't need to worry. I got a theory, I've been put in charge like a story. So where's that organic? I need my general, highly compatible, edible, hydro been on my vegetable, audible, getting legible out of my mind, but credible. Attitude, I'm an animal, hear me, I'm breaking decimals. You hear the sound shake and see the glass break. I'm out here causing reactions, I'm on my full weight. No hate, just a smile and a new style. Close the curtain, I'm certain we're gonna be a while. Some things to say, but my mind's kind of a blank page. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wandering through this abstract, I can't gauge. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Backstage, and if God's willing, I zone in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Born thrilling, the curtains cut me open. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Living in the sky, reach the pivots of my limits if it's written in the sky. Getting by with without a lot of try. It seems you rather frolic fame, ride a pop, but I'd rather make a game going vain on it. I make it rain on it. Your parade, I take a day off from work.
DFCRadio.com.
Talking about the Heavy T Road Show. Knowing someone better than your show. And everybody knowing this whole show. Yeah. Talking about the Heavy T Road Show.
The cannabis portion of this show is designed as entertainment only for legal medicinal cannabis patients over 21 years of age and is not meant to encourage any other activity or use. Yeah, dick.
People, are you ready? Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Don't worry about the present day.
Did you turn on the mic finally? Sound engineer extraordinaire.
Forgot
Don't care. Hey, sound engineers don't talk. They shut the fuck up.
All area group, we gon' make this shit happen right here, right now. Call it out to all area group, we
They
gon'
make sure the
this shit
music
happen
is louder
right
than
here,
the
right
host's
now.
voice.
Call it out to
But it
all
seems like
area
his
group,
family
we gon' make this shit
at
happen
multiple
right here, right now.
facets of sound engineering.
Levels. There's levels to it.
There's levels to it.
You gotta talk into the mic.
This is the bottom level.
You talk directly in the mic.
It only gets better from here, I guess.
This is the Victorville level.
On the positive side.
Yeah. What is? Welcome. Heavy T's Grow Show right here on DFCRadio.com, YouTube. Follow at Heavy T's Grow Show, Spotify, iTunes. Where else, Saint?
All
No,
platforms.
we don't even get to hear from you.
YouTube, you say YouTube?
Too late, I already said it.
YouTube?
YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube.
YouPorn, too.
Yeah, it's on YouPorn.
Yeah. It's
It's for like housewives that get off on watching fat bald dudes talk about
Busty
growth.
amateur fucked by sound engineer. That's what it is. That's basically the that's
It took me a second to get
that's the
that.
description of our show right here. We're always getting screwed.
Technically, yeah.
Ever since Vinny left.
Yeah, it's a bad mojo he left the studio, even though we moved it. His mojo's like on the
Multiple
desk.
times.
Yeah.
He pooped his pants a couple times.
Yeah, like the smell of him pooping his pants is stuck in this studio, even though it's like 3 studios different from he's ever seen.
I don't know. How many studios does a motherfucking studio need to studio?
To separate himself from Vinny, at least 4.
Let's ask Saint. Saint. So you're now in your mid 40s, and you're still.
I'm not in my mid 40s.
And you're still trying to.
You're in your late 40s.
Not late. Not late.
You're
Check
in your
yourself before you wreck yourself.
Late 40s.
See this mustache? Look how little gray is in this mustache.
Is that just for men or is that genetics?
It's just for your mom. That's what it is. It's just for your mom.com.
You dyed it brown just for the night show, so you could say that.
No. I didn't dye it. I don't die. I just multiply.
The gray hairs multiply.
Maybe. I welcome gray hair. It's what's it called? Makes me look profound.
Distinguished.
That's the word I was looking for, Saint. Remember that time? What are you doing, Saint? You haven't loaded any of the graphics up yet. And we have our guests coming on too. Listen, it's Heavy T's Grow Show. You want to talk grow. You want to talk microbe contamination.
Microbes in the air, even.
Yeah, in the air.
On the surface.
On your penis.
Yeah. My penis. Micro penis or microbes on the penis?
Yeah, it's both.
Microbes on the micro penis.
I don't want to disclose the conversation I had with your wife, but both.
She told you all about that? I told her to keep it between me and her.
She kept it as close to her as she could. It just was
still didn't reach.
It was 7 inches short. Is she listening tonight?
I don't know.
Oh well.
If she is, we're not.
But
in trouble.
I'm talking about grow contamination. We have a special guest tonight. We got Senor Jason Hadley from Filter by Lighthouse Worldwide Solutions. And has a bunch of commercial grow experience and trying to keep people profitable in this dynamic market across the nation that we're in, where if you lose a harvest because of contamination, you can lose
it's over.
Everything.
One bad harvest.
Everything.
Yeah.
And he's worked in environments all over the world, and I can't wait to get to him. But also, we have another guest coming on after that.
The Golden Truffle.
Captain Jack, tell us who we gonna have.
The Golden Truffle's coming on after.
And you're no longer Big Jack, you're now Captain Jack.
Captain Jack, all right. And he's got to talk to us about, like, what he thinks should happen with, like, mushroom laws. And he's, like, been into mushrooms for, like, 20 years, and he's the shroom, like, expert.
So we got a guy that's trying to spread spores.
Yep.
And a guy that's trying to stop the spread of spores.
It's like, yeah, it's like some Jedi and Sith stuff going on here.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much, and Saint probably is not going to record any of it or broadcast any of it because he's the worst sound guy of all time.
So it's just between us and Jason, and then us and Golden Truffle.
Kind of. Yeah. That's kind of the truth.
We shall see.
We shall see. So, without further ado, let's get to Jason. He's on the East Coast, so he's been staying up late. He's out there, I don't even know where. Let's just say he's east of the Mississippi River. Jason Hadley from Filter by Lighthouse Worldwide Solutions. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I'm actually out in Michigan. Born and raised in L.A., though, for what it's worth. Yeah, spent 46 years in L.A. soaking that up, and just wanted cheaper housing and good, clean living, right?
There you go. You know, a good friend of ours on the show, Horty Control Chris, also recently moved back to Michigan.
He was originally from Ohio.
And he... No, that was Devin.
Oh, yeah.
Devin. But Horty Control went back, and he is reiterating the same sentiment that you are. But let's talk a little bit, Jay,
sure,
about what Filter by Lighthouse Worldwide Solutions. What is the game plan? What is your goal? What do you guys do?
I gotcha. Okay, so let's see. Filter is a commercial grade, pharmaceutical grade air purifier that's designed to remove particles from airborne environments. So to give you a little bit of background, Lighthouse Worldwide Solutions is now 40 years deep in working with clean rooms across pharmaceutical, automotive, semiconductor manufacturing. So we manufacture like real-time particle monitoring systems for these environments. Think of it like an FDA compliant Trollmaster or a Roya or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that level of industry has been highly regulated for decades. And so, you know, it turns out that some of our guys on the Filter and Lighthouse team have some experience in cannabis, and I have some experience in cannabis, and they released this air purifier kind of knowing that a newly regulated environment, a newly regulated market is going to have a really tough learning curve coming from the world of just cut the bad part off and put the rest in the turkey bag, you know?
Right.
And so, I mean, and that's what I did. You know, I grew in like legacy market, gray market days. And, you know, it's like those methodologies don't carry over if you have to answer to a microbe test at the end of your process. And that's the other part of it is, so like when everybody voted in, like in California, when they voted weed in, it's like all the voters thought it was just going to be raining weed in the streets. But what they didn't realize is that like medicine has to be made the way medicine has to be made. And so you have to put some sort of product safety gap in there. Otherwise, all sorts of stuff's going to make it onto retail shelves. So they start this microbe compliance thing, but the growers never had to hold to it.
Right.
So it's funny because my biggest competitor is not the guy that makes another filter across the street. My biggest competitor is like change and discipline and working with growers who just got into this industry because they didn't want to pay taxes or work a day job. And now all of a sudden they're like having to put together SOPs. And that's like kind of a rough transition. So having lived those pain points myself, and none of my grows would have ever survived compliance. I helped these guys out, and by taking in, knowledge and equipment that is used in clean room, pharmaceutical, and food environments, and explain to them how, like, if you put more stopgaps and more testing and more analysis throughout the entire production chain, by the time you get to compliance testing, it's just an everyday thing.
It's another domino in the process. But let's slow down because you are on fire and I appreciate it. I know that you've been waiting to get on the air. We got started a little bit late, but let's back it up. The background that you have, where your backyard boogie or your garage or your Prop 215 grow that didn't have the strict requirements that the new legal market has. You said they wouldn't pass compliance, and tell me the biggest pitfalls that legal growers are finding out with either contamination, contamination, or the way that they're doing things.
Absolutely. No, I mean, like, okay, so let's say, for example, you have a garage grow, right? You're busting 6 lights in your garage, right? And, you're coming in and out of your house. So, like, okay, while you might not necessarily answer to, like, a state compliance mandate, at the same time, you do want to grow quality product, right?
Especially if you're consuming it.
And you want to grow quality product, even if it's just for your own personal use, right?
Right.
So a lot of times what happens is, like, our houses and the human body is covered with all sorts of things that are carried into these grows, and that's not even counting what's blowing in from the air. So, like, for example, there's a mold California growers are held to called Aspergillus fumigatus. And it's one of the 4 Aspergillus molds, but the biggest producer of it is our pillows and our bedding. And so I would advise any home grower to be able to, or any garage grower, any place where your house is like directly connected to your spot, I would make it a point to, like, make sure you're wearing fresh clothes on the way in, that you're not wearing anything that's been in your house in there. I wouldn't allow pets in there because pets root around in all sorts of stuff. They go in, they go out, they go up on the bed, on the couch, what have you. So those are probably some of the more immediate dangers. But then the other things, like from an airborne standpoint, I've been to grows where I've done, like, air sampling, where you take a device and you put, like, particles onto a plate and you send it to a lab and you have it analyzed, and you'll find stuff in there that's not even supposed to be in there. I was at a facility in LA before I moved, and we found this oddball penicillium that only comes from cereal molds, and it turns out that, what do you know, they had a bakery a quarter mile upwind from them.
Really?
So that was blowing into, or that was a very likely suspect, I'll say that, of why that was blowing into their space, because they're downwind from it. They had a big hole in their ceiling, so, it makes a lot of sense. But that's what I'm saying, is a lot of these problems enter through the air, and then we're also carrying them in on our bodies as well. So,
let me ask you this on the follow-up. If it's a a penicillin from a bakery and we're eating that bakery, or if it's on our pillow and we're sleeping on that daily, what is the big deal if it gets into our grow room? What is the ramifications if these contaminants get into our grow room?
Well, on one hand, it's a danger. Well, let me back up for a second just to provide a little context.
Yes.
In that, so when marijuana's tested, it's tested before it hits a retail shelf versus like lettuce, where they don't bother testing anything until people start complaining about the issue.
Right.
And that's because like certain things that are administered by mouth, like food, for example, your body has all sorts of natural filters in it to be able to get like a poison out of some kind before it overwhelms your body and you need to go to a hospital. Whereas, like when you're smoking weed, it goes straight into your lungs, and those aerosolized little smoke particles and mold spores that are on that finished product are entering your lungs, and if they're small enough, they get deep, deep down into the bottom of your lung sacs, and they can even penetrate into your bloodstream. And it's like at that point that you basically have mold spores flowing around in your blood. I mean, that can't be good.
That's
right?
no bueno. That's no bueno. I don't want that. Unless it's mushrooms. So we're talking to mushroom guys later on. I want those mold spores.
Those spores are fine.
I'm hoping they're going to flow later tonight.
And so you might be asking, okay, well, you're putting fire to the bowl before you smoke it, right? And that intuitively that makes sense that you think you're burning the problem away.
Yep.
But like Aspergillus niger, for example, has a black spore shell to it, so it's much more resistant to heat and UV and stuff like that. And so what happens is you're putting a lighter to this weed that's like 3,500 degrees, but you're only putting it there for like 2 seconds. So that's like you can't bake a cake for 40 minutes at 350 and then turn it up to 3,500 and only bake it for 4 minutes, right? It doesn't scale properly.
That makes sense.
So the mold spore it has what's called a dwell time, or it has like a minimum contact time that it has to be in front of a UV source, or it has to be in front of a cleanser, or it has to be exposed to some sort of reaction. So that like every mold spore has a minimum contact time, and if you don't meet that, you don't kill it. Just straight up, you waste your time. So we might touch on it later, but like your cleaning has a lot to do with, and like how you reset your room has a lot to do with what carries over into the next crop. You know?
Dirty grows are the ones that always have problems, whether it be from fungus, standard things that most growers see, like powdery mildew, bud rot, or even bugs. Like if you don't have contact time, then it doesn't really matter. Like you can't just go through and spritz a couple walls and act like, I just disinfected.
What
or
if you scrub them with
something.
simple green and bleach, though, Doug?
Yeah,
the bleach
that's
would
better
certainly do something.
that's better than just doing nothing.
Yeah.
True. However, let's also not forget that, like I said, we might jump around a little bit, but like when you're cleaning and resetting your rooms and what have you, you have to clean the surface dirt before you do the disinfection, because it's like notorious that like microbes can hide under surface dirt. So if you apply a disinfectant, the dirt's actually shielding it. You know what I'm saying? So it can come back at a later time. So, I mean, every one of your listeners can, like, go under their bathroom sink right now, and they can go and look at the back of a can of Lysol, and it will say, kills 99.9% of whatever, and there's an asterisk. And then you look at the back label, and it says, leave wet for 30 seconds to kill salmonella, leave wet 10 minutes to kill coronavirus. So you have to respect those times, because that's what the manufacturer is claiming. They will kill 99.9%, but as long as you leave it wet for 10 minutes or whatever the time is. And if it dries in 5 minutes, you got to go back and put more on. So I think kind of the transition into like more clean growing has to do with like understanding what cleaning really is. I mean,
100%. And if I'm consuming anything, I want it to be as close to 100% of whatever I'm consuming, whether through smoking, through consumption of food, beverage, whatever it is. I want it to be sterile. I want it to be free of contaminants. And Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry,
That
Big
one-
Jack's
that one might
passed
be
me a
molded.
joint. Big Jack's passed me a joint over here. But because we're dealing with, and there's so many variables in grow, we're bringing things in and out. We're dealing with soils with organics in it. We're dealing with bottles from warehouses, hydro shops, all this stuff that have contaminants in. What is the right protocol for a grower? And let's make it not large scale or commercial. Let's make it the garage guy. What is the correct protocol that for them to stay as contaminant free as possible?
Okay, so if I were, like I said, let's use an example, like a 6-liter in a garage, right?
Right.
So you're gonna create an area where you change your clothes from where you were,
like a man trap.
Right, like a man trap, for example. Then you might want to have the area where you keep your newts and your tools and what have you, and then you'd want to have access to like what you would call your critical area. So if you can mix all of your chemicals and all of your nutrients and all of your applications and what have you outside the room and only bring in what you need at the time you need it, that's a huge step. But the other thing too is part of the solution is how the place is built, what kind of equipment you're using, and what kind of training you're involved in. So, for example, like mold loves exposed wood.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any grow I never had that didn't have like wood frame tables and stuff like that I figured I'd paint later.
You're old school. This was before cannon panels.
Oh yeah, way before cannon. I'm like recirculating
some
systems
drywall.
and stuff like that.
When Orca film came out, we were like, yeah, we're stapling some Orca film, and this shit is gonna be legit.
Yeah, way better than drywall now.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I have accidentally mixed my A and B together and almost killed a $50,000 crop. I've done all those mistakes. If you haven't mopped up water on Thanksgiving, holding up dinner for your entire family, you haven't lived, right?
Basically, you're not even a grower. You're not even a grower, bro.
Right. So at a certain point, it was like I love the plant. I love growing it. The cops didn't like me growing it, but so I figured, all right, well, what can I do to stay in the industry? And it came down that like this compliance thing came about, and it turned out that I threw a connection at Smart Bee Controllers years ago.
You were on the show years ago with Smart Bee, back in our very first studio.
I sure was.
Yeah,
and,
you came.
That's why it's good to be back.
It's good, man.
Yeah. And so anyway, it turns out the guys from Filter were looking to buy Smart Bee at the time, and I met them, and then nothing ever came of it. But then they called me later and were like, we're coming out with this filter. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about microbes. And they said, we'll teach you everything you need to know. And I was like, bomb diggity, let's do this. So the reason I say that is because, like, I learned all of this stuff because I talk about it 8 hours a day. But I also teach it as well. So I'll do, like, facility lectures or cannabis science conference lectures and stuff like that. And it's really about like what I call like translating PhD to THC is like, because these are, clean room people. They're staunch and stodgy and very methodical and everything's white, right? But cannabis isn't like that. So we got to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what's within budget, and what can you MacGyver your way around.
And so that's what I was asking kind of before. Is that we have a clean room, right? The guys that at Filter, they're like, dude, we work with pharma, aerospace, all different types of industries that it is absolutely imperative that it stays as clean as possible.
They all have critical areas.
And now it's the grow space as well, but we're bringing in variables like soils, grow medias, bottles, different plants, and we unfortunately a lot of commercial guys, I don't understand why either, Jason, because they don't keep their own genetics. They buy fucking clones from third parties. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, if you want to stay clean, like, why do you always have problems? Because you're bringing new shit in all the time. But the same token, I'm thinking about microbe contamination and guys running ocean forest that It's been sitting on a dock up in NorCal on a flatbed down to SoCal, and it's getting rained on, exposed to whatever in every warehouse between here and there, and it shows up, and now it's in their clean room. How do we mitigate? How do we mitigate those problems?
That makes for sometimes a very uncomfortable conversation with clients.
Well, tell us, man. Hey, have an uncomfortable conversation with them right here. Talk to that client.
Okay, so here's the thing you have to consider. It's like, what do you need to do to get by? Let's be real about this, right? Like, end gaming the system. So keep in mind, soils, coir, stuff like that, it has like 40,000 different microbes within a teaspoon of that stuff. So personally, obviously the better, coming from a risk management perspective, you'd probably want to, move to more inert media. But obviously that's not a thing that some people are willing to do. But here's the thing, like, again, if you're trying to pass some sort of compliance, you only need to pass for the things that they're testing you for. So it's like, as long as you don't have aspergillus or any of those varieties that are there, you're cool. You can have all the microbes in there you want. If you're supposed to submit for like a total yeast and mold count, you're kind of effed in the A. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. It's like,
with all due respect,
yeah, exactly. I mean, no, but I ingest, but particles that are in the air are not able to be seen with the naked eye. If you could see all the particles that are in your studio right now, you guys wouldn't be able to see each other.
What?
For real.
I can see like 5% of them.
Do you see how big we are?
No, I know, but your eyes only see down to 35 microns, and the threat so growers need to be concerned about their smallest particle threat. That is 1 micron, which, to put it into perspective, you could put 25,000 of them next to each other, and it still wouldn't even be an inch.
So if someone, like in our studio, we sign up with Filter, we're like, let's get these microns out of here and make it as sterile as possible in our studio. But we still want the microbes, say, in our soil or whatnot. If we go with the program that Filter has, is it going to eliminate the benefits of some of the microbes that come in soils and things like that?
No. It's not going to pull anything from your soil. What it will do, though, is that those microbes, depending on the microbe, if it's producing spores as a means of reproduction, those spores will be aloft in the air. So think about like the air inside of a cannabis environment. Like, it's what's called a turbulent air environment, because you have fans on the walls that are going, you got HVAC that's pumping in some form or fashion, your doors, or you're unzipping your tents, and opening and closing and going in. There's a lot of air movement, and to the microbes that your plants care about, a whisper to us is a Category 5 hurricane to it.
Okay. Like the butterfly effect.
Right. So in other words, like, that 1 micron particle, like a mold spore, for example, if you were to drop it in perfectly still air, like if you were to drop it 1 meter in totally undisturbed air, it would still take almost 5 hours to fall 1 meter if it was not disturbed. So in these tent environments, in these grow room environments, in these commercial environments, these things are continually being lofted in the air. So, like, a lot of people spec'd in their HVAC for cooling capacity against their lights, but they never, up until recently, started thinking about the filtration side of their HVAC. So we Filter supplements the air filtration, so you don't have to rip out and replace an entire HVAC system. You just have something attacking the particle problem.
But the microbes are still there within the root zone or the rhizosphere.
Oh, yeah.
And make it happen.
Absolutely. It's not going to drop anything out of your soil, that's for sure. So, I mean, if you can keep it to the soil, some of the issues that come from that, though, are just that, the soil microbes can produce spores. If those spores get moved around the room, if they've had a 450 million year career out of being opportunists, and they replicate at a pretty insane rate. So, like, 1 mold spore, when it roots, and it grows a stalk and it grows more spores, those could be in the hundreds to the thousands, depending on the species of mold.
Well, and there's a symbiotic relationship between Homo sapiens and biology and what we eat and what's available in the soil and different bacterias, different things. But now we are trying to contain those and put it into a 5-gallon pot in a 2-month cycle, and like, hey, well, what are we supposed to do? You want to keep it as sterile as possible. We're talking with Jason Hadley from Filter Science. Go to FILTRscience.com to learn more about it right now. While you're listening to Jason over here. So this is what I'm thinking, dude. Is the probiotic community in our industry, the guys that are using labs, that are fermenting, and more organic is more better. Is this a fallacy, or is there something to that? Because to me, more contaminants, more fermentation, there's more things that can go wrong. I want to keep my grow as sterile as possible, whether I'm in soil. And by the way, I use inert media. That is my preferred grow style. But nonetheless, there's people that listen to the show and stuff that may have a question like that.
No, it's a valid question, completely valid. So, I would say, I see nothing wrong with, the organic movement and all that stuff. It's just, again, we're talking about, plant quality, plant health, and compliance for profitability, if that's what you have to answer to.
Do you think that, to me, and I'm going to say this as my opinion,
sure,
that a lot of times when they're doing the probiotic way of doing it is that it's just luck a lot of the times, that some shit didn't, and literally shit
didn't
spoil or bite them in the ass. Sterility. So you start from a zero sum, and you are putting in what you need to put in, and ensuring that it's contaminant free is the best way to go. But that's just
I think I understand your question. So keep in mind that there are microbes that are beneficial to the plant, and there are microbes that are pathogenic to the plant or harmful to the plant.
Right.
So the ones that help the plant, that like transport nutrients or like aid in absorptions of different things, or do whatever jobs that they do, man, let them keep doing their due. The things that you care about are the things that are pathogenic, that are more likely to like stunt growth or create outbreaks on your plants or your walls or your surfaces, stuff like that. So that's really, and a lot of that comes down to the cleaning. Now, that doesn't mean that your media doesn't have some of those pathogenic things in it. So if you are willing to assume that risk, then you probably want to hedge your bets against it as best as possible. Like, for example, if you have the ability to cover the media with something, like if you were using like Panda Squares or something, just to keep some of that airflow away so that spores aren't constantly being blown up. Or, for example, when you're doing transplanting, I would advise against doing any kind of transplanting in the room that you're going to be cultivating in. I would create a separate space for you to do your transplanting in, because every scoop of dirt is kicking particles up into the space that you can't see with the naked eye. You can see it with instrumentation. So to be fair, like I sell a product called a particle counter.
Right.
And this is a device that is used in pharmaceutical clean rooms in order to measure the particle load in the air so that they can maintain their clean room classification, so they have to regularly report these numbers to the FDA and stuff. So, but how that applies to cannabis, and admittedly it's a tool probably more geared towards the commercial side of the business, but that being said, you can take a particle counter and you can test various areas of your room, and you can start to see, like, it will kind of sniff out the particle problems by, once you learn how to read all the data that's on the device, you can start to see where there might be areas of or sections of the garden that might be experiencing some sort of particle outbreak. Now, the question becomes, what is that particle? I mean, if it's drywall dust, you just maybe might want to talk about more filtration in your HVAC.
Hey, those nugs are a little bit harsher. Fuck it.
Yeah. So the chart that is on the screen that's called a MERV chart. And so one of the things that a grower can do, like right here, right now, like today, is like go and take a look at your air conditioner, take a look at your filter, and start to see if the filter that you have installed in your air conditioner is rated for the things that you need to catch. So, for example, on that MERV chart, I think your smallest particle threat, 1 micron and up. So if you had a MERV 13 filter in there, you'd be catching 90% or better of particles that are 1 micron and up. That's pretty good odds, right? Like only 1 out of 10 are ideally getting through. So
sounds like it.
The reason this MERV chart exists, it's so that there's a rating system. So when you buy one, you have an expected performance. So when you buy a MERV 8 filter, it's going to catch this at this size. You buy a MERV 10, it's going to catch this at this size.
Okay.
The only thing you need to really kind of be aware of if you're going to switch to a thicker filter media is you have to make sure you're not stressing out your HVAC. So that will top out. You know what I mean? Because you'll put stress on the mechanicals because it's pushing more air through. It's having a harder time pushing air through the media.
The thicker the filter, the harder it is for the fan to suck air through it.
Exactly. So that said, again, that's where a filter kind of fills that need because, why rip out an entire, HVAC system just to fix the filtration when you can just put a filter in, Path of least resistance. I'll say that.
Right. But, so tell us a little bit more about what Filter or Lighthouse has been doing. They've been doing this for over 40 years. This is not a fly-by-night. They decided to build a business around the newly regulated cannabis industry. They have been doing this in pharma and food. They've been doing it for a long, long time.
Correct. So I will clarify just for the sake of complete disclosure. So particle counters, air samplers, 40 years of service. They've been hitting that. We've been selling those to Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson for decades, right? The filter unit, however, was to answer the call of the cannabis industry because
what is the filter unit called? What's the brand name that someone can find it at?
Oh, you can find it. It's Filter Revolution. You can go to the Filter Instagram page, Filter Science. You can always go to my Instagram page, Dyslexic Stoner 402. And I'm always happy to answer questions about it. But yeah, I mean, it basically we saw the writing on the wall and kind of understanding that microbe control is going to be a really hard thing for this industry because it's just not something that anybody had to think about 6 years ago.
Yep. And doing it though, and the newest stuff with what's going on with the cannabis filtration is what we are. Cleaning the air through thick 3M filters or their own filtration? Are we UVing it? Is it a combination of everything? What is the process?
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of different tech that's out there. So I represent HEPA, and HEPA has some distinct advantages in that it's the same exact filtration that is used in pharmaceutical clean rooms. It's already compliant to all sorts of regulations that will kick in when legalization hits, because, we're betting, since we work with the FDA, everything we make is FDA compliant. So we kind of are betting that, some organization, if not the FDA, somebody under them is going to be regulating it. But the problem is that those regulations for how to operate are already in place. So they're just going to say, okay, now you guys have to start following, ready for this, 21 CFR Part 211. That is the name of the regulation for the production of finished pharmaceuticals.
Does that include phospholode?
What's that?
Can I use phospholode still? That was a joke. That was a joke.
With your state compliance, but I'm going to say probably not. But it was good in the day, though. Big fat hard buds. Oh man, I love that.
With no turf.
Right. yeah. We grew a strain called In the Pines that was like all smell, no high. It was really sad. Wasted 10 weeks. Anyway, but you live, you learn, right?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Is it's like, I mean, I already know what's going down here. So I'm trying to help growers, one grower at a time, multiple growers at a time. You don't have to touch this stove to know that it's hot. That knowledge and information's already out there. So I really try to work with as many growers as possible, because this is like, you know, I get two kinds of calls, essentially. I get we want to get ahead of this call. I see this is going to be a problem. I'm building a new spot, or I just took over. And then the other guy is like, oh my God, I'm failing tests. What do I do? Help me. I don't know what the fuck to do.
Right.
And, you know, so that's, both of those guys, you know, I admire them, because, you know, they're wanting to obviously improve their process. And I'm all about, you know, helping guys improve the craft. Unfortunately, a new set of muscles has now started to have to get worked out, and so I really try to just cut the learning curve down. You know, I do like facility site lectures and stuff with like staff, and just really break it down and kind of disrupt the thoughts. And somebody will take something away from it and go, huh, I did not know that.
You
I now know that.
You mentioned having a separate area to change your clothes. Don't bring contaminants in. Make sure that you have a set of clothes that are your work clothes in the garden, and you leave from there. You wash them appropriately, all that. But to what you've seen in your experience, what are the biggest pitfalls that lead to contamination for growers that they don't even think about?
Being lazy. I'll clean it later.
Well, we're stoners. Come on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you know? I mean, unfortunately, that's the thing, is that, like, all this regulation really sucked the fun out of this industry, right? So it's like, yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's like, you know, the longer something festers, the longer it has an opportunity to become, you know, a place where contaminants can produce. You probably want to avoid, like, cross-contamination where you can, where, like, if you're going to be, you know, working with one plant and then working with another plant, I would suggest changing your gloves or applying some hand sanitizer. Or for some of the growers out there, maybe just start wearing gloves, you know?
Yeah.
That's a thing. I mean, you know, that 1 micron mold spore can live in your fingerprint, in the valley of your fingerprint. In fact, like 40 of them can stack up on top of each other and still not see over the ridge of your fingerprint.
Yeah, but
Right.
I will say, as a dude that has 25 years plus experience in the garden, you're working around plants that have a resin that is sticky, and you're moving room to room, and you're not able to change your clothes in between room to room in the same facility, and you're sticking. There's gonna be shit sticking to you, you know, and just by a byproduct, like the THC or whatever. If I'm in there and I'm picking leaves and I'm doing this and doing my pruning, and I move to room 2, even if I'm not using, if I change my gloves and I'm not using the same shears or anything, because right now out here on the West Coast, HLV is a huge thing that is being cross-contaminated across the board on a lot of everyone's favorite strains. That are killing yields. But, I mean, you move side to side. I mean, my employees are going to need fucking 10 different shirts to change out.
Yes and no. I mean, okay, so on one hand, I would say at like the high level, if I was a cultivation director, I would make it a point to schedule all of my employees so that like the duties that they're performing on a day-to-day basis, keep them in one place for as long as possible.
Smart.
Right? The other thing I might think of as well is like, for instance, let's say you're going row to row and you're doing defoliating or, you know, defoliation or what have you, and you're sticking your hand into the canopy and pulling it back out. I might suggest, you know, like going those like shoulder length horse insemination gloves, you know, like, you know. Hey, you know.
Okay. All right.
You know, so 'cause those can be stripped off before you leave the room and then go to the next room.
That's good.
You know. right? So, or turn them inside out like you do with the condoms, right? I mean, that's just us.
I don't know what you do with your condoms, player. I don't wear them.
I was just going to say condoms. No, but in all honesty, like that's highest level. Funny we should be talking about that. At the highest level, it's like you just want to keep a barrier between you and your plants. The most dangerous thing to your plants is actually people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we're producing particles constantly. Our skin at the microscopic level looks like, like a glass of Sprite. We're constantly like shedding particles off. Like all you guys in the room right now are all shedding 100,000 skin cell particles per minute, and you all breathing each other's bodies in, feeling all the warmth and love there. How you feeling over there?
I think I do like 200,000.
I'm feeling like I might have got COVID, and there's a lawsuit coming, Saint.
You know, it's funny actually. We meet the FDA emergency use guidelines for air purification versus COVID. So, if if we can handle COVID particles and stuff that COVID rides on, we can handle like mold spores, bacteria on dust, stuff like that. Remember, the smallest threat is 1 micron, but powdery mildew is like 30 to 50 microns. Right. So. A good airflow should help take care of that.
Well, we talked about airflow, and we talked about all the things that we need to do, staying as fresh and free as possible when we go into our grow rooms, or transferring from grow room to grow room. But what exactly does Filter provide? Like we have filtration, but what is the unit that if I'm like, okay, I need to keep my shit fresh. I just listened to Jason on Heavy T's Grow Show, and I need to keep my shit fresh. I'm gonna hit you up. What am I gonna get from you?
Is it one size fits all?
Yeah. So we have one unit, the Filter Revolution 700. It actually produces 600 CFM and will provide an additional 3.5 air exchanges per hour within 10,000 cubic feet.
Is that a UV filter or a straight?
No, it is pure dyed-in-the-wool HEPA. It does have a bipolar ionizer on it, and so there's a number of different tech out there for airborne stuff. I'll kind of lay it out. So on one hand, you got HEPA, which is basically the equivalent of fishing with a net, right? You create a tight enough net, you blow the air through, it's supposed to catch the particles in various fashions, right?
Correct.
Sometimes it's attraction, sometimes it's impaction, whatever. Then you have, for instance, if you've heard of AeroClean 420, that's a device that's called PCO, which is photocatalytic oxidation.
I have seen that. Owning grow stores and stuff, I was expecting that to catch on a lot more than it had. It never really caught on in any of the grow stores.
I'll tell you why. Because I would make the case that it's a good technology, it's just not the right tool for cannabis.
Okay.
So what's happening inside of an AeroClean 420 is there's a PCO, photocatalytic oxidation is the name of the reaction. And what's happening is a UV light is shining on titanium dioxide metal, and that reaction is creating, for lack of a better term, like negative ions inside the box. And so what it's doing is it's drawing air inside the box. The particles that are coming through from your grow room are supposed to collide with all these negative ions, and ideally it's supposed to kill everything on the way out. The problems with that device and why I think it didn't take off was because in order for that reaction time to be met, you have to slow down the airflow so that, again, you achieve that minimum contact time of exposure. So, for example, it only operates at 36 CFM or something like that compared to my 600 CFM.
Right.
So what that means is, for what we do, for 10,000 cubic feet, it would take them 6 hours to do 10,000 cubic feet of air. It takes us 17 minutes. So they only get, an AeroClean 420 only has 4 chances to process a particle through to change that air over, and it's promising to kill it. So number one, that's a bold-ass claim to make because you can plate that air and send it to a lab and find out what's what. But because it's slowed down, if a dead particle goes out, it's still food for something else. If a live particle goes out, it gets a second chance at finding a home. So you're basically giving yourself like a molten shower. You know what I mean? Is what I'd call it. And
And
you
look,
know,
look,
home
plants
for laughter, right?
and plants are organic material. If and if they're going to be a catalyst for growth, then it takes 12 plus hours for you to clean the air. And guess what's happening during that time? More shit is
catching
growing
up.
on the organic material.
They're spreading.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean that's so that device is like not a very aggressive device. They came from commercial agriculture where they were keeping tomatoes and bananas from growing, from ripening on the way from the field to the grocery distributor. So if I need to stop my tomatoes from ripening, they're my first call. I would not put a filter in a room to stop tomatoes from going from green to red. That's just not the right tool for the job. So then there's like UV, just straight up UV. Well, UV, you have to know how long do you have to hold it over the area, for what distance, and UVC is dangerous to humans, and I don't know if anybody's ever fallen off a rolling ladder, deleafing the third tier in a warehouse, but like,
This sounds like a very personal story, Jason.
It's not a very.
I'm just saying, OSHA hasn't caught up to cannabis yet, and they would not allow these UV devices in there.
Hey,
Now,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I will, in UV's defense, I would put it on the coils of your HVAC all day, every day.
It makes sense. That makes sense. Let me ask you this: the contact time that we just that I just brought up, that it would take to filter with the HEPA filter from Filter, and cycling everything through. That contact time with the organic material, the plant, the grow media, whatever else is in there, is less, and we can.
Well, no. Let me clarify. I mean, like HEPA is what you would call a capture and removal technology. So the idea is, move as much air in that room as possible and get it through that filter. And what it's doing is it's literally physically trapping the spores. And only allowing the air to pass through.
How often do I got to change that filter?
For our filter, I would say it would go a good year in flower, in an average flower room, and I would probably change it every 9 months in a dry room, cure room, trim environment.
Okay, and
it's a pretty beefy filter.
And once it gets saturated, is it worthless? Like, how do I know when it's saturated?
Well, we have an app that's connected to the device that's on a calendar that will tell you when it's time to change the filter. I mean, in reality, so we know stoners don't buy a 1-year filter on the 1 year.
You got to make it easy
right?
for us, dog.
I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that filter will go a little longer than a year. You know what I mean? So you won't you're going to forget it, but it does have an ability to remind you that it's time to change the filter. A light will come on and say, change the HEPA light, or change the HEPA filter, or change the pre-filter, or whatever. So it does have a pre-filter, it has a carbon filter, and it has a HEPA filter. I personally tell my clients to take the carbon filter out, like the commercial clients, because you're not paying, $3,300 for a filter to remediate smell. You're paying it for microbe control.
Correct.
And I'd rather see you get more air exchange, running more particles through the filter. So the cool part about HEPA is I can literally prove that it's working in real time, right? A lot of these devices are fucking snake oil in some cases, because it's like if you can't conceptualize the problem, you don't know what's happening in the room. So I can take a particle counter. I do this all the time, and I put the particle counter at the bottom end where the air is coming in, and it shows a bunch of particles going in, numerical values, and then I find the top of the filter, and I put it on the top of the filter. I run the particle counter, and for the most part, if I hit the sweet spot, it zeroes out completely.
Well,
and that proves that it is working, because particles are going in, no particles are coming out. Dirty air in, clean air out. And it's continually and aggressively trying to change this air over as many times as it can.
It's empirical evidence of what is actually happening. Now,
right. So
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you for instance, if you wanted to test the efficacy of an AeroClean 420 or Purizyme or Aerospy Sage, stuff like that. You actually have to like take samples of the air onto petri dishes and send them to a laboratory and see what's in the air. But then some of those devices are actually dangerous, like one of the hexagonal shaped one. Not to knock the competition, but it does produce ozone. So
right, and ozone can be damaging not just to humans breathing it, but to your trichomes and what you're coming out of the end product.
Yeah, like Puridyne is illegal to sell in California. At least the last I found out like a year ago.
Everything's illegal in California.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm illegal in California. I'm pretty sure.
You're not allowed to take off your smog control in your car.
Yeah.
They got us under their thumb over here.
Yeah, we're under their thumb over here. So Jason, if you have one thing to leave our listeners with about microbe, about sterility, about growing the best possible medicine, the best possible cannabis, and I agree with Jason of what he's been saying about the purity of making things as pure as possible. We don't want this nonsense. What are a couple? What are a few things that you can give them to be better? Is what I'm saying.
I would say, number one, be efficient with your time in there. Don't spend any more time in there than you have to. Number two, I would make sure that at all times you're creating barriers between yourself and your plants, gloves, smocks, booties, whatever. And then third, I would say make sure you follow the directions on your cleansing agents.
As much as possible.
As much as possible, because that's the manufacturer won't, is claiming if you use it at a certain intensity for a certain amount of time, it will do this. If you do anything that deviates from that, you're not getting the results that they're trying to sell you.
Absolutely. And I have a follow-up question for you, because I've seen your post and Dyslexic Stoner 402 on Instagram. Go follow this fool. This fool got this is dropping knowledge left and right. Bam, bam, bam. He's like,
I got to mix the knowledge with the dick jokes, right? Helps the medicine go down.
But overall, like seeing what's up and posting about what people are doing right or wrong overall. What do you got to say about that? I know you're following just what you said. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make sure that things are straight and narrow, but these guys are gonna be messing up left and right. Tell the small guy how to do it.
Okay. Take a risk management approach. Look at everything you're doing and ask yourself, what could possibly transfer a microbe? What am I touching this to this? Am I walking clean over dirty? Take a look at your process and see what's going on. Are you growing in a bedroom and the air is being pulled in from the rest of the house? Those types of things. And the other side of it too is like, there's no judgments, man. Like, we're all just doing our best. And I just want to help growers to become better growers, because I don't want to see pharma take over this industry. I want to see growers. I mean, like, this whole industry has been built on sticking it to the man. And just because, like, a new obstacle is coming into the way of the industry doesn't mean that we're not going to figure out a way around it or beat them at their own game.
I agree, brother. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to educate the Duff Free Nation. We got Jason Hadley. Thank you so much for calling in. Go follow at Dyslexic Stoner 402, and on the website Filter, that's FILTR science.com. And I won't give out your phone number, but if you're on, you go to the Instagram.
It's on the Instagram. Feel free.
You'll get it, player. Yeah. Hey, and I'm glad that you're happy and you're healthy, dude, and you're crushing it out there. We got to get people growing better medicine. And that's what's going to change the market. There's motherfuckers out here just, oh my God, dude. Like, just straight light depth booth that is mildewy and moldy
Covered
and
mold.
horrible. And
Yeah, no, I have seen grows that have a very Civil War field hospital level of clean.
well, that is Call the Truth Williams right there. Hey, Jason, I appreciate you calling in, and we're doing our thing. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Have a great night, guys. Thank you again.
All right, brother. Be good. 562-653-0707. You want to talk grow? Call in. Let's talk grow. We're coming back with, who do we got?
The golden truffle.
The golden truffle?
Yeah, he's the one who spiked me with shrooms
What is
that time.
what is the nasty shit that happens with your butthole, Saint? What do they call that?
Oh no,
Are
that's
you talking about what jerk chicken does to you?
No, that's
Something truffle.
something rose.
No, it's truffle.
Oh, truffle butter.
Yeah, truffle butter.
Yeah.
We're coming back with truffle butter right here on Heavy T's Grow Show, DFZRadio.com.
A revolution never come with a warning. A revolution never sends you an omen. A revolution just arrive like the morning. Ring the alarm, we come to wake up the snoring. They're telling you to never worry about the future. They're telling you to never worry about the torture. They're telling you that you will never see the horror. Spend it all today and we will bill you tomorrow. 3-piece suits and bank accounts in Bahamas. Wall Street crime will never send you to the slammer. Tell all the children in the arms of the mamas. The F-15 is a homicide bomber. TV commercial for a pop-up pill culture. Drug companies circling like a vulture. Amaraki babies with the G.I. Joe father. 10 years from now, is anybody gonna bother you? Fire! Here we come, here we come. Yeah, fire! Revolution will come. Yeah, fire! Yeah, fire! A revolution never come with a warning. A revolution never sends you an omen. A revolution never come with a warning. A revolution. Everyone addicted to the same nicotine. Everyone addicted to the same gasoline. Everyone addicted to a Technicolor screen. Everybody trying to get their hands on the same green. From the banks of the river to the banks of the greedy. All of the rich is taken back by the needy. We come from the country and we come from the city. Play us on a record, you can play us on a CD. All the shit you giving us is fertilizer. The seeds that you planted, you can never brutalize. Tell the corporation you can never globalize it. Like Peter Tosh said, legalize it. Girls and boys hear the bass and the treble. Rumbling the speakers in and make you wanna rebel. Throw your hands up, take it to another level. And you never ever ever make a deal with the devil. Yeah, fire! Here we come, here we come. Fire! A revolution will come. Yeah, fire! Yeah, Throw your hands up. Come on, come on.
awesome.
Hey, yo, this is Spanky Hayes, motherfucking Spanky Hayes, funny motherfucking Spanky Hayes. Shout out to DFZRadio.com.
Hey, are you all right? I don't know, man. I am freaking out. I think I'm having a bad trip, bro. A bad trip? Things look fine to me. Looks like you just transplanted your girls into some happy hippie garden mix from Sanctuary Soils. So I'm not freaking out? Oh, you're freaking out, all right. And I would be too. That's no ordinary potting soil you've got there. That's a premium organic blend that includes composted forest material, peat moss, perlite, pumice, lava rock, some of the best worm castings available, humic shale ore, dolomite lime, azomite, soy meal, and gypsum.
That's a lot of stuff. Did you just read all that? You just blew my mind, man.
It's a lot of good stuff that you can only find in an organic, natural mix like Happy Hippie.
So what you're saying is, with Happy Hippie Garden Mix, I shouldn't panic because it's organic?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that, and you shouldn't either. Although I guess you aren't wrong. Here's the deal. You aren't having a bad trip, bro. This is all great news. You're providing your plants with everything they need to get off to an incredible start.
So I can't taste colors then?
No. But you will taste and see the difference in your fruits and flowers now that you're using Happy Hippie Garden Mix from Sanctuary Soil. For more information, you should check out bulksoil.com.
You know I'ma always buy from a Coco fucking ninja. Who gets me high? That's my Coco fucking ninja. Yeah, growing outside, we some Coco fucking ninjas. Riding in my ride with some Coco fucking ninjas. My ninja, my ninja. My ninja, my ninja. Coco fucking ninja. My ninja, my ninja. My ninja, my ninja. A Coco fucking ninja. She's wheeled by my side, I'm a Coco fucking ninja. You just can't hide from this Coco fucking ninja. My meme set the price, I'm a Coco fucking Illuminati. Ninja. Growers paradise, I'm a Coco fucking ninja. My ninja, my ninja. Say it. My ninja, my ninja. A Coco fucking ninja. My ninja, my ninja. My ninja, my ninja. Coco
We're back on the air.
My ninja, my ninja.
Welcome back to the Heavy Tea Grow Show. This is Black Market Cultivators. And we have Heavy Tea with us in studio.
It's not Big Jack, it's Bitch Jack.
No, it's Captain Jack.
Oh, Captain Jack now.
And we have...
who's the captain? Who's really the captain?
Golden Truffle, my wife.
Okay.
We got Golden Truffle. The Golden Truffle on the line.
If you're watching House of Dragon, it's pretty much Jack is whoever Rhaenyra was married to.
I've never watched that show, but I'll agree.
Yeah, you're the worst. All right.
I just have to do whatever my wife says.
So who you got?
We got the Golden Truffle.
Truffle butter.
The Golden Truffle butter.
We don't offer truffle butter just yet.
Truffle butter.
Maybe in the future we will offer psychedelic truffle butter, but not just yet.
I mean, I'd be interested.
You're already interested.
You want to know how it's made? We can't tell you.
As long as it's psychedelic, yeah. I don't want to hear about the other part.
All right. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, so we got truffle butter.
And hold on. There's a roach on the table.
Is there? Is there a roach or a joint?
It's flat.
Hold on.
Should that shit run back?
Yeah, I just saw a bug crawl out of the corner of my eye too. It went into the mic right there, under the table.
Get the torch.
Torch him up.
Hey,
okay.
So are you gonna talk with truffle butter or not?
Yeah, but I got distracted. I almost got attacked by a roach here in the studio.
You gotta hype him up.
Now you know why we had you call in. We didn't want you getting attacked.
I'm glad you protected me.
Yeah. So.
And besides that, we got hot chicks and bikinis and boots in there.
So everything I know about this dude's all alleged. And allegedly, he's been selling psychedelic shrooms for 20 years.
Man, you're the worst.
And that's
you're
his
the
background.
worst. You mean that he has been involved in the psychedelic community?
No, you could buy shrooms from him.
Oh my god.
Well, I know a guy you can buy shrooms from.
Yeah.
Not this guy. Not truffle butter.
Allegedly, not him.
Golden truffle has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, the golden truffle, yeah. Truffle butter, no.
Go ahead, Jack. You're the worst.
Yeah, so we're going. So that's his background, and now he's got to tell us like.
All right, let me take over this interview right here.
You take over.
Jack is a
I
fan
told
of
you I
yours.
got to do it.
No,
I think you've had it a couple times while on the show in the past at the old studio.
Golden Truffle, this what's up. So check it out. Psychedelics have been at the forefront of a lot of legalization in the PNW and now throughout California and other states, and specifically mushrooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And making it happen. Tell us a little bit about your history with psychoactives, as well as what's going on in these states, here in California and PNW.
I'm in California, in SoCal. So, I think like most of us, my first experience with mushrooms was just eating a couple things that a buddy brings over in a bag while you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you either fucking loved it or you were scared from psychedelics for the rest of your life. And I was one of those people who loved it. And, just start grabbing more and go Costco style, right? And then you just find out everyone else likes it. So that's kind of how you get deeper in the culture, per se, correct? And I actually cultivated them. I did the useshroomery.org. If you want to grow mushrooms, it's a great place to educate yourself if you know how to navigate forums easily. I did the brown rice flour tech, and then I also did a rye grain tech, which is pretty much, I think, one of the best ones out there. And it's just, and actually with your last guest, air filtration is critical because spores are actually a lot worse in the game of mushrooms than they are with herb, like with how much damage it can do. I had a friend who just lost a bunch of shit due to contamination. So, I tried regular mushrooms. I fucking loved them. They fucking really helped unlock some, demons in me, per se. And I kept enjoying them recreationally. And occasionally, you'd have that trip that actually, you learn something about yourself and you level up as a human. And now we've got another side of people who, like I said, their other experience of shrooms, their first time is they ate a couple mushrooms, they saw the devil, they'll never touch psychedelics again. And that was about 20 years ago, So I have seen mushrooms kind of be out of the light for a long time, just kind of like that and acid. People are like, you trip, you're crazy. And now it's turned into a whole culture where people are like, I microdose every fucking day, and it's helped my life.
Soccer moms are microdosing.
Was that?
Soccer moms are microdosing.
Oh yeah, totally. But you know what? They're it's good though. I've seen good results. So there's nothing wrong with someone who enjoys a little bit that makes them more positive and kind of sobers them up. I actually had how I found about the good use of microdoses. I had a friend who would just pick up mushrooms all the time, and he'd go through ounces pretty fast. I'm like, damn, are you fucking like eating these like every day? He's like, yeah, I am actually, but just little amounts, he said, and it helped him. He lost weight, he stopped being a heavy alcoholic, and he got out of depression. And it's cool to see that progress in a human being. Like we have all our friends, and I'm in my 30s, so now we're, if you're in your 30s plus, you see your friends and the rest of your lives of where it can go if you lead it a certain way.
Absolutely. And it's your belief that using psychoactive mushrooms can help you get there.
Yeah, totally. And, I'm not trying to say like, oh, you got to switch up all your pills to take mushrooms and then your life is going to be better by taking mushrooms forever. No, mushrooms actually really just kind of help you change your mindset into that positive direction you need to bring it to. So with microdoses, I would do like 14-gram trips back in the day, like when I'd go do festivals and be like Mr. Wook 2000. And...
you would eat 14 grams at one time?
Yes.
Motherfucker, dog. Dude, that is a lot. That is a mega dose. That is not microdosing. This is mega dosing.
If you have tripped on like acid before, and you've gotten to like a really nice level that you can't normally get mushrooms, you eventually get there with a macro trip, and you're kind of just at that level for a longer period. You know, you're not going to, I just eventually just started seeing Olmecs everywhere and fucking just rotating the sky and just would feel vibrations and have the giggles like a motherfucker. And, you know, this was at several different just environments I would do it at. So I downloaded a lot of great information doing that. But with the microdosing and even the Golden Truffle, I developed that company in 2018 or so, and really we started just developing chocolates for some higher up company, you know, some big names basically in cannabis for a lot of parties. And you know, eventually we added the microdose on our menu, and that became a real big hit. I started just literally sending out samples to anyone who asked.
Really? Well,
yeah, I felt that was like a big failure of cannabis has been it was too expensive for people who are novice users to experience it. You know, they go to a dispensary and a lot of people don't have that budget like a stoner has a budget for weed. Does that make sense saying that?
Yeah.
For getting like medical help for yourself, for people to just kind of shoot in the dark. Cannabis, I think, was a little expensive for the first time person.
I understand that, and a lot of it has to do with the illicit nature of both of them. Is why it is so expensive, because people got to pay to play when you're taking a risk. But that being said, the giving out or proliferation of passing around this knowledge that you've obtained from your macro dosing or micro dosing coming through. What have you seen, with the standard Joe Blow, the dude that's not going to go to a festival and go to Burning Man or Coachella and go on a 24-hour trip?
So a lot of our reach has been adults who have like mental issues, honestly, and it's people who are looking for, in this current era, a lot of people are looking for answers to alternatives to their pills and things that numb them out.
100%.
And so I've got like a little article I send them from like a New York Times thing called The Cut. That's like an introduction to microdosing, and I have people read it. I try to tell people I'm not a fucking doctor. I've just been dealing with this for a minute, and I help people out of trips. And what I tell them is like, look, I'm not telling you to stop your medication. And what I normally do is I send them out a week sample of microdoses, and I go, here, try this on a weekend. Try this on a day off where you don't have a lot of commitments. Try to have the phone. Just have a day for you. Make it an easy setting for a first-time user. And most people take the microdoses first thing in the morning, like I tell them, have a glass of water with it before they eat. And it's only like a 0.1 milligram. And we also throw in cacao, lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, and maca in our microdose mix. So those are like some superfoods I like also. And I think it all just synergizes really well. And people have come back telling me, dude, I feel one of the most beautiful things is someone tells me that they don't have suicidal thoughts anymore. Like a stranger.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
It's very heavy, but it's a very heavy, like, positive thing to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, we sent out probably over 400, 500 samples of, just a microdose to people who asked for it, who followed us on our IG, the.golden truffle. And just mention the Heavy Tea Radio Show if you want to get access, because we won't give you access. You don't tell us who you know.
Yep.
But so doing that, it was a lot of cost associated with it. It's basically $5 a sample, to send it out to people. And some people would, younger people would have the tendency to be like, oh, I ate all 4 microdoses and I felt kind of trippy. Did I do it right? I'm like, no, dude. You didn't follow the instructions attached.
How about the time you gave me a sample and I thought it was a weed edible?
Oh, I think I did. I gave you was it the Solos or the Pyramid?
It was like in a golden bar. It was like 2 grams or something.
Okay, so it was the mini.
And then,
that's our mini bar.
Like,
that's
this
2
is a weed
grams
chocolate.
total in that.
Yeah. And then I texted you like, hey, that edible's got me, bro. And you're like, wait, That was mushrooms.
No,
You're like, I'm thinking about moving to Apple Valley. Well, you tripping, motherfucker.
You're tripping right now.
You tripping, dog. Ain't no one moving to Apple Valley. They moving out of Apple Valley.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's the place to go to if you just I don't know. It's hot there. I don't know how people can stand it, but people do live out there. But so
there are people there.
It's interesting. If you're at Apple Valley right now, it's probably like 80 degrees, 75 degrees, and there's fucking tweakers all over, fucking on their bikes.
And
It's like a true
And
sight.
rattlesnakes.
Sounds like an episode of Beavis and Butthead.
That's where you don't want to do your microdosing.
No,
Rattlesnakes,
I would
tweakers
definitely
in Apple
recommend
Valley.
you trip in a very comfortable setting. But so
See?
a lot of feedback we got with the microdoses. It was changing people's lives. I had people who were eventually able to stop an Army vet from since the first Gulf War Army guy. Like on 8 types of medication, couldn't really ever sleep properly. And he told me recently, he's like, dude, I'd stop. He eats probably about a half gram to a gram a day of our product, maybe less. I don't know. This is what he told me. And he's stopped taking 8 types of medication, can sleep like a baby. And so he tries to turn me on to other veterans and stuff like that. And that makes me really happy that that we've developed a product that helps people live normal lives, lives the lives that they desire to by taking all this pharma and, it fucks them up most of the pharma. So this unfucks them, and that makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah, and
Prevents the suicides?
It prevents no suicide.
I mean, it's like one of my little sister's friends. She has she had twin brothers who were depressed from COVID, and they weren't going out. They weren't like doing anything. They were always going to the gyms before, and they're twins. So they both got really super depressed. Were just fucking stuck in their rooms, probably just stuck in the digital world. And she gave them a bottle of micros, and now they're back to life again. And it's crazy because I have so many anecdotal stories that are just like, it fucking works. Some people, maybe like a couple people have been like, it didn't do it for me, and that's okay. It didn't do it for you. But for other people who it does do it for, I'm like, fuck yeah. And that's why I kind of offer free samples of microdoses from our company for people in need. Like if we've got your addresses down in a database, sorry, we have to make sure people aren't trying to scam us for 3.4 grams every week. But, it is something that is important to me, and I think right now what we are seeing with the current access to this for legalization is, and the current mindset that you're going to see a lot of companies do, is they're going to have the adaptogenic, cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi, all those mushrooms in one pill that you take, and then you take the psilocybin in another pill. But now they're making you buy 2 pills. Now your fucking microdose is going to be at like $75 to $100 a month, and that kind of excludes some people for their mental health. A lot of, like, let's just be honest, not everyone can fucking afford $100 to throw at something that may not work for them. If it does work, and if it does work, that's cool, but still $100 a month. But with like Golden Truffle, like we're trying to, eventually I do want it to get like, I want to lower my price point to like $20 a bottle, because if that's what it can, like $20 for a month for you to be able to fucking get your brain back in a right place, helps moms with PPD, helps people with depression, helps people with focus. Like that makes sense, but not like we're going to fucking sell it for $100. We're going to profit. We're going to chat our way out. We're going to fucking ride Lambos and fucking, while profiting off of mental health. That's just, I don't know. It's kind of fucked up,
Well, I know it is, but if you pick me up in your Lambo, I'm down.
Or at least like
but
the Corvette with the engine in the back, at least.
Yeah, light blue.
Yeah.
But no, straight up.
Beige interior.
All jokes aside, all mushrooms are not created equal, right? There is a larger psychoactive profile for certain things.
There's more psilocin in our mushrooms in the Golden Truffle than there are in most other mushrooms, and that's actually, I think, a really big plus. I've been using the same
Tell
source.
me more about that. Tell me more about how if someone wants to explore, open their mind's eye, so to speak, their third eye.
So we one of the most important things I believe is someone who has helps people have safe access for a very long time is we need proper dosing. So we actually have a bar called the Trip Bar, which is an 8-gram bar, which is the size of most 3 or 4 gram bars. And that's like if you want to fucking go somewhere, if you want to talk to God for a little bit, if you want to discover yourself and have some ego death.
We shared that on the show in the other studio.
The Anunnaki?
Yeah, we shared that in the other studio.
It's the gold bar with all the little cities
I
on it.
forget that couple that was there. They both took 2 grams, but we all ate it that day.
I
Dutch had
think
some.
they went to the bar next door and had a swinger party.
Yeah, Dutch, you and me had some. We all ate that.
See, there
bar.
you go. You
I
have some
didn't
golden truffles,
have
you might
no swinger
have
party.
end up in a swinger party in a good way.
I was not there. I went home.
You didn't have the pineapple.
I
Hawaiian
went
shirt
home
on.
and got the sweats.
But okay, so one thing is like we don't use research chemicals. We don't do 4-ACO DMT, which is like what most people are experiencing in polka dot bars, 1-Up bars, like anything that you can buy the packaging for. We don't use that. I don't buy random packs and underbid growers and go, oh, okay, like let me get a pack for fucking X amount of price, and then go to someone next week and change up the supply chain. We use the same chocolate, Calibut, super nice sustainable chocolate. We use the same albino mushrooms I've been getting from the same source for like almost 15 years now. And the reason why we keep going to these is everyone comes back going, man, these fucking hit fast. I feel great. Like it's just not too wild of a trip when you have a couple grams.
Consistency.
And
you're building
yes,
a
and I
brand.
think
It's
that's
consistent.
super important. Yeah, that's kind of part of the Golden Truffles vibe is, we use the same fruit. That if you order some fruit from us, it's going to be the same thing that's going to be in our chocolates. There's nothing different. And I think that transparency is really important for people when they get things from certain companies, because if it's, it's just like flour. If, I get hash bar from black market cultivators consistently, and then one day it's just different, and and he knows it because it came from a different farm. That's no longer black market cultivators as hash bar OG. That's fucking Jim and Tom's hash bar OG. It may not even be the real hash bar.
Well, if you didn't get it from black market cultivators, it probably doesn't have Phospholode or Avid on it.
Honestly, as a longtime smoker, we need a little bit of that Phospholode. That's what was in all the OG, So little P-load fucking that helps fight COVID, guys.
Hey, have you ever tried P-load on mushrooms?
No.
Let's try it.
I don't even know if that even is a
Like a
thing.
huge Super Mario shroom.
Oh my god.
There's actually a strain that would grow like that. It's called Malabar, and they discovered it in India, and it grows out of elephant shit. But it gets to caps the size of dinner plates.
That sounds good. That's
Well, that one we added Phospholode to it. All right, we're gonna send you. You send us all your golden bars, and we're gonna send you a vial of Phospholode.
I mean, it's the red cap stuff. That is stuff a lot. It is harder to get nowadays.
I think we got one bottle left.
Well, what is the What is the right mindset to be ready to take mushrooms?
To go on a trip?
Because listen, all full disclosure, I've eaten mushrooms since the time I was 16. I'm 45, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? Like, I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. Like, I feel like I'm not mentally in a place that I want to to open up certain things within my mind or not.
Every time
that is going to, either make me feel one way or the other. There's an amount of fear.
Sure.
What is
There's
the right
anxiety a
mindset?
little
What is the right mindset? I mean, I've been in spots where I'm just like, dude, if I sit here and dwell on some of the shit going on in my life, some of the shit in my life right now, like this isn't gonna be good.
You got to plan it right. Like you have to have enough weed and like you have to have a good environment and all that. Every time I do it.
All right, Mr. Apple Valley, why don't you just let the guest answer?
Every time I do it, I'm like,
all
I need
right,
to set a stage
let
different for next time.
Yeah, okay, Mr.
Well, I agree with Jack. Like, okay, for like if you smoke herb, first and foremost, pre-roll your joints or blunts because it's sucks when you're 4 hours into a trip and you're trying to roll something. You're like, I can't do this. You're like, you can normally roll backward in 2 minutes while driving in the dark, but you can't fucking roll a joint for your life. Or a joint roller is good too. Like, drop the ego. Turn off your phone. I think that's a really valuable one.
That
because
is
someone's
actually
going to
very
call
good
you.
advice.
Yeah, like someone's always going to call you, or something will pop up, or you could just fucking go down the fucking dreadful thing we call the internet and just pop into some bad vibes on a meme page that, like, you know, re-show some traumatic fucking like video, but is making light of it. But really, like, you're gonna have a whole other psychological fucking breakdown from seeing like a fucking kitten in distress.
The
you know?
video's not
You're just gonna be like, this is fucked. Having your food and comforts, you know, don't drive or make plans with people. I think that's a really smart one. Because if you make plans, they're always going to fuck up. Like, how many times have you gotten lost at a festival in psychedelics? Most people would be like, yes, that's me. I couldn't meet up with my friend over at the porta potties because there's 6 different porta potties everywhere, and everyone was looking at me.
And
You
you're
know,
all
that's,
standing right next to each other, but you don't see each other.
Yeah, totally. But I think those are, you know, you have to use some common sense. Like, don't go, okay, I'm going to eat mushrooms at fucking 11 o'clock in the morning. I should be okay to have dinner with my parents at a nice restaurant by 7 p.m. Like, no, cancel that fucking day. Like, be selfish a little bit and just do you, and try not to go, like, either be in nature away from people, but, like, don't go to the supermarket and, like, try to do things, because it's going to be difficult. And if you're someone who has a lot of anxiety already, you might have a panic attack and embarrass yourself, and that'll make things worse. I think we've all been there at least once in our lives, and I think that's what I generally want to say, because of course you don't want to do it when you're in a bad emotional place. I think that's a very bad idea, but sometimes you want to do that, you know, that ego death and kind of push yourself. And if you're okay with that with yourself, go that direction. But I say for most people, don't do that, you know, if you're in a bad place emotionally.
What about introducing mushrooms to someone that might be anti-drug, anti-mushroom, parents, these type of things that are like, no, only bad people take drugs.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
With that being said, right now there's such a common shift that it's normal conversation now. And how many Netflix documentaries are there on, like, you know, people healing their trauma with mushrooms?
I don't know.
And you know,
Jack stole my Netflix subscription, and now I can't log in.
You got canceled.
This motherfucker.
I mean, but
Jeffrey
but
Dahmer.
right now,
Jeffrey Dahmer killed me.
You know, it's kind of fucked up that, like, Jeffrey Dahmer is the big thing on it now, and about 2 months ago was, like, Fantastic Fungi. Like, we were talking about how mushrooms are helpful. Now we're like, it's Halloween. Let's talk about a guy who killed young men and ate them. Like, oh, fuck.
That's October for you.
You know, that, you know, maybe don't watch Jeffrey Dahmer's series while taking mushrooms. Like, it's not going to help. It's not going to help anyone in that room.
Good advice.
Or while trying to eat a steak dinner. It kind of messes that up.
But so, like, let's say, you know, for the conversation for microdosing, I think that's a really powerful one, because a lot of, you know, depression and mental health affects everyone. And, you know, I'm not going to go give my mom, who is a fucking immigrant Filipino woman who worked her way up corporate, who's never really done drugs in her life, a fucking shroom bar to trip off of. I might give her a microdose, though, you know, have her go, hey, like, take a day off, just try this. It's actually all natural. There's, like, such a tiny amount in here that all you're going to feel is, like, a little happier about something. You won't even,
the body
you're
high.
really not going to trip.
Yeah, so my microdose, and full disclosure, I've gone full. Everything is fucking moving. The floor is moving. I feel like I'm gonna shit, piss, and throw up all at the same time. And I don't know.
Microdose?
No, not off a microdose.
Okay.
Off as much as I could eat as possible. But the microdose, the body high, is like, okay, we're starting, and you might get a little bit of visual, like boom, but you know, and then it just kind of transcends into, you know, I kind of understand a little bit more about what's going on around me, about the environment around me, about other people's feelings,
how you're kind of connected to everything a little bit.
Absolutely, and when there is a thread of connection through everything in the world, and being able to see that and outside your own ego. You said that earlier. Outside your own ego, your own self, and understanding, hey, this is how things affect me, how things I affect other things, and you could do that with a very small amount, and it alleviates the burden of me, because that's where we live, man. The whole culture of the Karen culture, I call it the Karen culture, where the Karens are like raging all over. You see all the videos on social media and everything going crazy. It's like, fuck, these people only think about themselves, have no actual idea of how they are affecting other people, or how other people are affecting them. They're just out of their fucking mind. It's like, hey man, if you smoked a joint and took a microdose, you might be okay.
You wouldn't feel so entitled everywhere you go.
I agree with that. There's some people who definitely need like a little bit of that, you get that childlike innocence again with mushrooms, where you understand, like, oh man, I said something harmful to someone that was kind of rude. I'm sincerely sorry about that. And they start to kind of see past their own bullshit that they usually keep up to justify themselves, like, oh, well, someone did this, so that's why I can act this way. And it's just like, mushrooms really kind of make you go, yeah, you can act that way, but you're still the asshole, like,
yeah.
And it's very humbling to have something have like that happen, because you have it. I think with what I like about microdosing too is I tell people, look, you do it for about 3 months, you might get that change in mindset, so you don't have to get another bottle again. I'm not trying to sell you into a new addiction and a new thing that you consume and it solves all your problems. Really, if we can change your mindset and how you approach things, with you taking a little bit every single day, and it makes you a better human being, that makes me far richer than, client for life will make me pretty well, do well, but overall, in the great aspect of karma, I think it's better that I help someone just improve their life and they move on and they can recommend that product to anyone else, and it kind of spreads like how mycelium spreads and keeps popping up little networks. And I think that's a lot more that's a lot better than just getting someone's money and going, okay, they tripped out a little bit, they felt okay, but they didn't change. So we try to offer that mindset. And even I have talked to customers for an hour at a time, just being like, okay, well, ketamine therapy is not working for you. Try these things. I've known people who've suffered from mental illness. I've lost friends who have taken their lives because they felt alone. And I think if I can hand you a little pill and talk to you a little bit, and it changes your trajectory in life, fuck yeah,
100%.
It's like a fix-a-flat. You only got to use it the one time, and then the tire's good. You don't have to keep filling the tire with it every day.
Yeah, but
you're not addicted to it.
It's the rat race that we're in. I always said it's like when I go on vacation to a tropical place and get my aloha back.
Yeah,
I could do that with a microdose of mushrooms,
aloha in a bottle.
And all it really does for me is give me perspective.
Yep.
I'm not the center of the fucking universe. I don't need this fucking tension in my back that I think unless I do this or that the whole world is going to fall apart. That, hey, I'm a cog in the machine and things can work out.
Everything happens for a reason.
And everything kind of works out, It's not ever going to be perfect, but, things will move forward if you allow them to. If you are that cog that chooses to stop spinning, eventually it will affect a lot of things around you, but everything will still generally work out. You still have to be, you're a breadwinner. You still got to win bread for the family, or else, the constructs of society will kick you out of your home.
Hey, how does the microdosing or the consumption of mushrooms correlate with the consumption of cannabis? Does it enhance it? Does it diminish it? In your experience?
I just, I've been smoking a little bit less just due to a new addition to the family, and I also haven't done microdoses in a while, so it's hard to say with
I'm only eating 15 grams a day.
Huh?
You're only eating 15 grams a day.
Yeah, right. No, I honestly haven't microdosed in over a month. But I would say with like cannabis, I would tell people like even before you consume some cannabis in the morning, have that microdose kind of get you going, because I feel cannabis with mushrooms, it either turns up the effect a ton or it calms you down, and it's kind of where you are at the trip in the time. With microdosing, I feel like it'll probably be more calming and more like you might enjoy that joint more. Like, you'll take that extra couple seconds and just have like a Pepperidge Farm moment while you're smoking that joint and go, oh yeah, it's a beautiful sunset here in sunny California, and I think you would enjoy it just a little bit more with a microdose than you would like without a microdose.
Yeah.
Pepperidge Farm members.
Yeah, that's always a nice memory.
Pepperidge Farms. That was some cookies I think that I had.
You remember Pepperidge Farm members?
Those were the stale ass cookies that like they made you like try
Don't
to
you
eat
talk
with
shit
tea.
on Milano, my friend.
And then-
Christmas cookies.
Yeah, like I'm not English, but they wanted me to have tea time with some Pepperidge Farm fucking
some crumpets.
cookies.
Yeah.
Crumpets.
My biscuits. Those my biscuits, kid.
Kid.
So now
Hey,
I feel
I
like
need
we
a
all,
microdose and get my biscuits, kid.
I feel like we all need a macro dose and then follow it up with like microdosing.
Oh yeah, I think everyone should. I've
got an ounce of mushrooms right here.
Try
You wanna eat
Trip
half of
Bar
it?
for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
What's
if
that?
you got mushrooms here, I'd like to eat them.
All right, we'll come back after this break and eat the mushrooms.
I would love to do a Trip Bar challenge with you guys, where maybe you and Jack just split a Trip Bar at the beginning of the show. And see
Trip Bar
like how you guys feel
challenge.
after a couple hours later.
A 4 gram dose, I would have to like do the show from home. Like, I'd be all like stranded
from
out
Apple
here.
Valley.
Yeah, I'd have
we
to
got
call
trips,
in.
We got the safe transportation for people. Trips. It's like an Uber, and they'll just bring you to and fro your home.
Really?
You
Is
live in
this a
Apple
real
Valley.
thing?
I like that.
That's actually a thing in Irvine. It's called Trips, and it's like it transports all the old people around to each other.
Okay.
But it's like if
Oh,
you're
you calling me old?
be old.
Listen to this motherfucker right here,
Yeah,
dog.
it's nice that it's called trips. You're on your trip.
I'll send you a picture of the bus, Jack, when I can find it. And you'll crack up. It says Trips on the
It's
outside.
a short bus.
All right, brother. Give us a quick plug about everything you got going on, and then we're going to go to break.
All right. Basically, go to the.truffle.
Truffle butter.
Golden truffle. Golden truffle on IG. DM us. Just tell us that you heard about us on the Heavy Tea Grow Show, so we can approve you in there. We'll connect you with one of our 3 vendors across the USA. We're safe access, so if you want some mushrooms, we'll get them to you. Just ask.
So
There you go.
The golden truffle.
And
Yeah,
this,
on
ha-
IG.
this has not been
We're getting
approved
other
or
places,
condoned by
too.
anything with DFZ Radio
Yeah,
or Happy Days Grow Show.
Nothing's
Who
affiliated.
is
It was
this
all
on the
alleged.
phone?
Crank up.
Hey, Lion's
Safe
Mane,
access to
Lion's
Cordyceps.
Mane,
Yes.
ready to go.
We got Lion's Mane, Cordyceps, Reishi.
I have no idea what
That's
that
what we
is, but
got.
it sounds delicious.
It sounds super heady.
Lion's head.
Hey, brother, thank you so much for calling in. And we got to get you in studio. Let's do a little challenge.
No,
with-
yeah, I definitely will come in another time. We got, we'll get the Get Blaze service out there showing you guys what's on the pirate market.
We'll do a roach fogger before that.
Yeah.
It'll be all sterile.
Are
when you
these
get here.
roaches up in here?
Stank killed that one. I think that was the only one we had.
Yeah,
So-
because you be leaving fucking your food in here every fucking Wednesday.
No,
Yeah,
we're
it's your
roach free.
guys' food. You saw that.
Yeah,
That's a $40 service.
Wait till you see what shows up in Apple Valley.
Rattlesnakes and scorpions
And fucking tweakers.
and tarantulas.
And baby roaches.
There's tweakers in Bellflower, though. I'm not scared of them.
They ain't showing up at your house.
That's another level.
Yes, they are. Actually.
Yeah, because
Desert tweakers are on another level.
they're on another level.
they got less. They got less teeth.
All right. They're at the original Del Taco. 562-653-0707. Call in now. Thank you so much, brother. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick break right here on the one and only DFZRadio.com and Heavy Teeth Grow Show. Coming right back with the wrap up.
Just writing. I'm just writing in my right. In my right. Writing in my right. Am I writing in my right? Am I writing in my my speakers. Yeah, the beat to rip and the speaker this on some deeper shit. I'ma eat with this, you can't compete with this. Keep the reefer lit, keep the heater hit, call it cheetah swift. When I hit my destination, I need some drinks to sit and keep on going, keep on rolling. Zoning, I'm not going home. Papa was a rolling stone, traveling down this rolling stone. Never know where he's gonna go, but oh so ready though. Calm like the calm before the storm. Life's a metaphor, can't ignore. What's in store? Mechanic doors opening. I'm focusing, I'm hoping, I'm not hopeless. Everything that I've been working for, everything I've been hurting for, like the hunger that you can't ignore. It's right there and you can't afford to let it go. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. Riding in my ride. In my ride. Riding in my ride. In my riding. Riding in my ride. In my ride. Riding in my riding in my riding in my riding in my
Symphonies tuned to a level volume. Windows cracked to feel the chilly breeze of the spirits calling. Night lights crawling, ricocheting off the water. Vision in the rear mirror, plus I'm watching what's before me. 360 peripherals keep us in the middle, like hubcaps rolling through instrumentals. It's the minimal, Millennium Falcon, master movement, middle dimensional. Metamorphosis minerals, laser, DeLorean missiles. Megatron reassemble, coming together in the car with four symbols. Brazilian, African, Castaneda. Say the math for later, for now just enjoy the flavor. Golden Babodi, Kwani aside, forget the label. Japanese tires around American rims on a European car. Beautiful but so bizarre. And it's all on top of a black top. Riding through space, light speed, time still at a racer's pace. The final race.
Put that evil on me.
Heavy T.
Hey, I'm in the zone.
Dude, this shit is
DFCRadio.com.
So you're big time, huh?
Yeah, kinda.
Hey, are you all right? I don't know, man. I am freaking out. I think I'm having a bad trip, bro. A bad trip? Things look fine to me. Looks like you just transplanted your girls into some happy hippie garden mix from Sanctuary Soils. So I'm not freaking out? Oh, you're freaking out, all right. And I would be too. That's no ordinary potting soil you've got there. That's a premium organic blend that includes composted forest material, peat moss, perlite, pumice, lava rock, some of the best worm castings available, humic shale ore, dolomite lime, azomite, soy meal, and gypsum.
That's a lot of stuff. Did you just read all that? You just blew my mind, man.
It's a lot of good stuff that you can only find in an organic, natural mix like Happy Hippie.
So what you're saying is, with Happy Hippie Garden Mix, I shouldn't panic because it's organic?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that, and you shouldn't either. Although I guess you aren't wrong. Here's the deal. You aren't having a bad trip, bro. This is all great news. You're providing your plants with everything they need to get off to an incredible start.
So I can't taste colors then?
No. But you will taste and see the difference in your fruits and flowers now that you're using Happy Hippie Garden Mix from Sanctuary Soil. For more information, you should check out bulksoil.com.
Woo! 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 Ow! Love that money.
Heavy T Grow Show, baby.
There's no better time to step back and rethink your grow.
Still in plastic pots or flimsy fabric pots that are a pain to move around or transplant into? Well, it's time you elevate your grow with Geopot fabric pots. Geopots are designed to withstand extreme moisture and salt-laden conditions, making them the ideal fabric pot for heavy hydroponic feeding programs and organic grows alike. The Geopot has an innovative quad-stitch construction, which allows the reusable container to withstand constant moisture and prolonged UV exposure. Unlike traditional fabric pots, the roots in a Geopot are naturally air-pruned, stunting their outward growth and promoting the growth of more lateral roots throughout the media. So, more roots below, more shoots, and heavier fruits above. Air pruning prevents your plants from becoming root-bound, which can drastically impact and improve nutrient uptake and yields. And I know you like how that sounds. Swing on over to geopot.com for more info, and stay true to your roots.
Don't you put that evil on me!
Heavy T.
Hey, I'm in the zone. Dude, I'm in the zone.
DFCRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Heavy Tea Grow Show. Good show. We have Golden Truffle and Jason from Filter Science. We got to take off. So other than that, we
out.
7-7 Elko, riding down the west coast. Candy paint dripping cause I just got a fresh coat. California raised me, an LA baby. The Chevrolet raisin, scraping on Dayton's, riding down Rosecrans. Get with the program, call me the drone man, the hydros potens. Got your eyes low, lower than the ocean. Just west coasting through the coast with the potion and the best dro to smoke. The baddest bitches, girls in bikinis with ass and titties. The hustle game easy, you just can't believe till you see me on TV. Drive down the wrong street, might see the tech smoke. Hop in the ride and let's go to the west coast. This life is like a movie, you meet a model bitch, then you fuck her like a groupie. So don't be amazed. Same nigga, same flow, same mind frame. I'm all about the Gucci. Fuck minimum wage, cruising through these Cali streets, smoking on this OG. Cash rules everything around me, I need more cream. West Coast, get it in. What the fuck you think? Saying I'm riding with you, really though, this money in the bank. E3 hotter than the California forecast. Burning up these tracks, nigga, I need more cash. Yeah, I'm a bona fide hustler. Fuck with my family or cash and I'ma cut ya. Real G's get it, that's only the obvious. Go against us, you know you facing the consequence. I love my state, but I really hate the politics. Better keep stepping, buddy boy, in the pile of shit. Yeah, in a pile of shit. E3, get it in, nigga, I'm live as shit. 3, 2, 1. Mary J. As the world keeps spinning, like gold 100 spokes, engine running, Chevy gunning down the coast. Just let it roll. Who doesn't love to see a 6-4 hop down the block, banging Easy E and Pac? Motherfuck the cops. I drove in my ride, but I ain't even tripping. It's another summer night and about to get the dipping. It's California A, got some beautiful women. Gotta see it for yourself, it's such a beautiful vision. Palm trees, palm weed, won't you ride with me? West Coast in, floating through these Cali streets. Cruising down the boulevard in the late night. Sunset to the daylight, we take flight. Lights
Everybody's a celebrity. Won't you take a picture? It's a motion picture. Everybody's a celebrity. Won't you take a picture? Latin girls, Asians, black girls, Jamaicans, white girls, they all on vacation. Pop another bottle, yeah, we buy 'em by the case, and we spitting big faces. California, 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 yeah, Cali everywhere. California, California.
Make sure you go download or stream California by The Saint 562, one word, THESAINT 562, featuring Baby Easy E, E3. See y'all next week, DFZRadio.com. Yeah.
You are listening to Heavy T's Grow Show on DFZ Radio Network.